Hey kids, welcome back to another episode of Dear Kevin, the show where I talk about Kevin Smith shit. My name is Efta. I'm a filmmaker and screenwriter myself. You can check me out at the blog I've got, adolescentconceptions.wordpress.com, where there's a bunch of my screenplays. You can check out my other video series where I'm reviewing The West Wing and a bunch of other stuff. And this series is about Kevin Smith, as regular viewers know. So today we're talking about a Kevin Smith movie that he didn't write, he didn't direct, he's just an actor in it. It's not a cameo bit, it's not like Die Hard 4, which we'll get to at a certain point, where it's just kind of a one-scene, nod. He's a legitimate supporting actor in this movie. He is a, third billing type of character, he's the best friend type of character, and he's really good in the movie, despite the fact that I don't like the movie very much. That movie is, of course, Catch and Release. Jennifer Garner's Catch and Release. Came out in 2005. The movie was written and directed by Susanna Grant. I think this is her only directorial effort. She wrote, and I believe won an Oscar, for writing the Julia Roberts movie where she's like got big boobs and walks on high heels. Erin Brockovich, that movie. I believe she wrote Erin Brockovich, and I think she won an Oscar for it. I think her first movie was, as a screenwriter, was Pocahontas, the Disney flick. And she won the Nickel Fellowship back in the day. That's how she kind of got into the business. She wrote a screenplay on her own, she wrote it on spec. That means no one paid her to do it, she just wrote a script. She submitted it to the Nickel Fellowship, and she won! For those who don't know, I'm also a screenwriter, and I submit to the Nickel Fellowship whenever I have something good enough. And literally just 2 days ago, I finished a screenplay and submitted it to the Nickel Fellowship. So, fingers crossed, I can someday get to write a Disney movie and work with Kevin Smith and win an Oscar. So, Catch and Release. It's a movie starring Jennifer Garner and Timothy Olyphant. The movie's not great, what can I say? It's one of those, mid-thousands romantic comedies. Kind of like, The Last Kiss, or, what's that fucking movie called? Shitty romantic comedies, not like bad Jennifer Aniston, like slapstick romantic comedies, like the one where she's handcuffed to Gerard Butler, or whatever. Definitely maybe. Movies like that. Just kind of like sweet, nothing, just kind of floaty, fluffy, nothing little movies. This one tries a little bit more because it's got a big theme of death going on. The plot of the movie is Jennifer Garner is engaged before the movie begins to a great man, apparently. And he dies like a week before the wedding. So the movie opens up at the wedding, but, they're having to return the cake, and she's wearing the wedding dress, hanging out in the bathroom, being sad, and they're having to cancel everything because he's dead. And the dude who's dead, the dead fiance, his best friends are a couple of dudes who are also friends with Jennifer Garner, and one of them is played by Kevin Smith. One of the guys who shows up at the funeral/wedding, that's kind of what's going on in the opening, is a lot of the stuff that was bought for the wedding, like the flowers and the food, is being repurposed into the funeral. Really ham-fisted, kind of, cheesy maudlin opening. Timothy Olyphant plays another one of the fiance's friends who left the group. He went off to, like, LA somewhere to be a douchebag photographer, because that's the kind of character he is. And he's come back into town for the funeral, and, Jennifer Garner's hiding in the bathroom, being sad, wearing her wedding dress. Or maybe she's not. I think she's just hiding in the bathroom because she doesn't want to deal with, all the people and her future in-laws that now will never be her real in-laws. So she's hiding in the bathroom at the funeral when Timothy Olyphant comes in with, a cocktail waitress or a server at the funeral, and they have sex, and then it's like, how dare you, your friend just died. It's a very strange opening. Anyway, Timothy Olyphant stays in town to kind of, help her deal with the grieving process. She's living in the same house with Kevin Smith and the other actor whose name I don't know, the other two friends, because they were all living in this big house together, they were business partners together, so it's kind of like, moving forward after everybody loses something very important. Of course, it's one of those movies where one of the best friends, not the Kevin Smith character, but one of the best friends of the dead fiancé has been in love with Jennifer Garner for like a decade. So it's like, now that he's dead, maybe I can make my move on her. Except he's not sleazy, he's one of those nice guy characters. And he's got a scene halfway through the movie where he's like, hey, he's dead, why don't you like me? And, never mind, I don't really like you, because of course she rejects him. And she ends up with Timothy Olyphant, who has to go on the most cliched romantic comedy arc of all time, which is, I am a dickhead, but I'm really a nice guy. In the midst of all this very trite, maudlin bullshit is Kevin Smith, who is very, very funny. He's a great source of levity for the audience and for the characters who are dealing with the loss of a friend. He's smart, he's very sweet in the movie, he's very much playing a Kevin Smith type of character. I don't mean like one of his characters, I mean, watching this movie, which is PG-13, Seeing his scenes, it's very clear that he probably rewrote a lot of the dialogue, improvised a lot of the dialogue. He's got that natural affinity that fans of Kevin Smith know him from. If you've ever seen him on The Tonight Show, another area where he can't swear, just that very charming, kind of self-deprecating, he just owns the camera, like he kind of steals a lot of scenes. That's his role in the movie, essentially, is to show up and just kind of steal scenes. He does have one big dramatic moment. Throughout the first act of the movie or so, everyone's kind of dealing with the loss in different ways. You know, Jennifer Garner is very sad, and Kevin Smith's trying to cheer her up, and the best friend is like angry / tortured for being in love with Jennifer Garner. Timothy Olyphant's, you know, fucking women. That's his character arc. But like about, I don't know, like a third of the way in, they keep making references to the fact that Kevin Smith hasn't been going to work and he's been drinking way too much. And there's lots of scenes of him, you know, waking up in the middle of the night to eat food and just drinking too much and being very negative and kind of dealing with it. So at a certain point, Jennifer Garner finds him, he's way drunk, and I think he might have taken some pills, so it was kind of a sort of suicide attempt. And there's a scene with him and Jennifer Garner in the hospital where Kevin gets to give the most dramatic speech he's given, aside from the one in Chasing Amy, which is a story and it's very funny, and the one in Chasing Amy is a little bit different. It's actually an excellent scene. This is a more, you know, cliche kind of a sequence where a character has to talk about missing his best friend. That's why he tried to kill himself. The character who's been making light of it all, you think dealing with it the best, has been kind of everybody's rock to kind of cheer everybody up. He's actually the most fucking heartbroken because his friend has died. Like, yeah, it's Jennifer Garner's fiance, but fuck that, man. That was my best friend. So there's a scene in the hospital where Kevin Smith's lying in the hospital bed, recovering from his attempted suicide, and he talks to Jennifer Garner about, like, just what a fucking good dude he was and how much he misses him, and just, he was the man. Like, that's, I think that's the line that always gets to me, is him saying, like, he was the man, you know, and he tears up. I don't think he even used, like, mentholators. If you know anything about acting in movies, a lot of the times for simple movies that don't really matter too much, not heavy dramatic stuff, to get people to cry, you can try and work yourself up into an emotional frenzy and make yourself cry, or they have these little tubes that shoot like mentholated air, you know, like minty air, and they literally puff one right into your eye before the camera, so like, and they roll the camera, and then that makes your eyes water. I'm pretty sure that for this movie, Kevin didn't even use the mentholator. He just naturally was able to get to a place where he was able to talk very sincerely about how much he misses his fucking friend, and how life fucking blows now, like, without him. So that's an excellent scene. The other wrinkle in the movie, like the plot, is that another woman, played by Juliette Lewis, excellent fucking actress, she's also a bright spot in the movie. Juliette Lewis is from Dusk Till Dawn. She had a bunch of guest spots on a whole bunch of different TV shows. She was in California with Brad Pitt back in the day. If you don't know Juliette Lewis, check her out, she's awesome. She shows up about, I don't know, halfway through the movie with this like 5-year-old kid in tow, and the reason she's there is she's looking for the dead fiance, who she doesn't know is dead. Apparently, he's been sending her checks every month for like a decade. So is this kid his kid? Probably, maybe. So that's another little wrinkle in the plot, is that like, oh, my fiance's dead, we were just about to get married, and I thought I knew everything about him, but really I didn't know anything about him, because look at his shitty friend, Timothy Olyphant. And also, he's been sending checks to somebody in California for, you know, 10 years, and he probably has a kid. So the estranged, used to have a kid woman shows up. Wasn't an affair kind of thing. They had sex once before. I think they had sex and had the kid even before he met Jennifer Garner, the dead fiance. But anyway, she shows up, and everyone reacts very differently to her, and Kevin Smith, just trying to make the kid feel better and to make her feel at home, because she's getting judged pretty harshly. There ends up being this kind of sweet little, very small subplot of a love story between Juliette Lewis and Kevin Smith. And she's a real broken, damaged woman, and he's obviously dealing with grief. But that part of the story is actually way more interesting and engaging than the rest of it. And it's probably because of those actors that I like a lot, and because we're not trapped into the romantic comedy cliches of, you know, two characters have an awkward meeting where they hate each other in the opening scene, Jennifer Garner and Timothy Olyphant, and by the end, of course, they're gonna make out. So the movie's fairly trite, it's harmless, it's a little bit too long for my taste, it goes on a little bit. I think it needed some kind of redraft or some kind of, I don't know, I'm not a big Timothy Olyphant fan, at least I thought I was, and I used to hate that dude's guts until I started watching Justified and Deadwood. We'll get to Timothy Olyphant in the next Kevin Smith thing I do, where I'm talking about him as an actor, where he's in Die Hard 4 as the villain, and he's awful in that movie as well. The thing is, Timothy Olyphant, when he's doing the right thing, is fucking amazing. Not so much in this movie, but he's excellent, you know, in The Girl Next Door. He's fantastic in Justified. Go watch Justified if you haven't. And of course, he's awesome on Deadwood, which is on HBO Go for all you HBO fans out there. So yeah, it's a little bit, you know, very cheesy, PG-13, maudlin movie about, you know, how do you know, you think you know somebody, your fiance, and then they die, and you learn all this negative shit about them. Anyway, it's not a great movie, but Kevin Smith is fantastic in it. If you want to go see Kevin Smith play a performance where he's not doing a, you know, a View Askew type character, it's really good. He does wear his hockey jerseys, like the wardrobe was very much inspired by him. The number 37, you know, is on the a patch on one of his shirts at one point. A lot of the way he talks is less like that character and more like the way he just talks in general. But there is that one scene, the scene in the hospital, where he has to give a little mini monologue about the nature, not the nature, but like why he's so fucking sad and how he misses his friend. That's some of the best acting he's done. Another reason to check out the DVD is, first of all, the movie wasn't very, you know, wasn't a big hit or anything like that, so it's not like it's not like one of those movies that you see, like The Sopranos. If you try and buy a season of The Sopranos, it's still fucking $60, even though the show's been gone for like a decade. This is one of those movies you can find in the $3 bin at Walmart or online for like 50 cents. So check it out, if only to see Kevin Smith, or check that scene out on YouTube. But also, you should really get the commentary track. As per usual, there's a commentary track. There's two actually on the DVD. One with the director and the cinematographer, which I didn't watch. The movie looks fine, I guess. It's a normal, well-shot little movie. The other commentary track is Kevin Smith and Susanna Grant, and that one is not PG-13. They get to swear all they like in the commentary track. It's one of the more interesting commentaries because it's not Kevin talking about his own movie, nor is he talking about like the Donnie Darko commentary track or the Roadhouse commentary track, which I'll get to. Is he talking about like, I'm a huge fan, I'm a big fanboy. It's more he's actually interviewing a director about her work and her career as the movie plays. It's really interesting. So he's very funny and charming. There are moments where the director, doesn't really want to talk about certain things, but because it's Kevin Smith, because he's so charming and likable, he kind of gets a lot of interesting quotes and stories out of her. She talks about the beginnings of her career and how she got the role. She talks about the idea for the screenplay. There's a lot of fun behind the scenes, you know, anecdotes of how Kevin got cast in the movie, about the filming of the movie, all that good stuff. So you definitely should check out the DVD. It's a very cool little commentary track. The movie is harmless. It's, you know, honestly, my biggest issue with it is it's 112 minutes. And I know when I was talking about Jersey Girl, if you want to go back and check out my previous video, I said, I hate movies that are like an hour and 40 minutes long. Yeah. There you go. Hour and 12 minutes. That's 1 hour and 42 minutes. Or 52 minutes. I can count. Movies that are in that weird, you know, not quite 2 hours, a little bit longer than 90 minutes, that... If a movie's 90 minutes, it moves pretty quick, it knows what it is, it's beat, 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 whether it's an action movie or a comedy or a horror film, and you're done. Movie that's, you know, 120 minutes tends to be a little bit more filled out, it's fleshed out, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it also doesn't feel like it ends too early. Movies that are like 100 to 115 minutes drive me batshit insane because they don't know what they want to be. And there's a lot of that in this movie, where is it a light and frothy romantic comedy with slightly heavier tones? Or is it like a really heavy meditation on the nature of relationships? And can you really know another human being? It's kind of really neither. So it's a bit of a mess of a movie, but it's easy enough to watch, and I had to talk about it because, once again, I saw it in theaters. Once again, Kevin Smith's very good in it. And this came out the same year, maybe the year before Clerks 2. So when I was falling in love with Kevin Smith for the first time way back in high school, this was the first, I think this was the first Kevin Smith movie I saw in theaters as a Kevin Smith fan. So check out Catch and Release if you feel like it. Here, look, I'm gonna let Kevin sell it himself. Look at his face, man. Look how cute he is. Come on, focus. Look at that little face. If you don't want to see Kevin Smith being cute, then I don't want to know you. So that's all for today's version of Dear Kevin. Next time, I'll be back to talk about the next thing. What am I talking about next time? Oh yeah, I'm getting the comic books. Cool. Tomorrow, I'll be talking about comic books. In particular, his Green Arrow run of comic books, which was the first, I think the first comic books of his that I read. So we'll be talking about Quiver next time, and that was the Catch and Release episode. Thank you for watching as always, and hit me up, give me a negative comment, give me a positive comment. Like, subscribe, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Have a blog, and I'll see you tomorrow talking about some comic books. Bye! Hey guys, I forgot to do a Dear Kevin. Oops. That's the name of the show. Fuck, right, I'm supposed to be talking to Kevin Smith here. My bad. Anyway, Catch and Release. Dear Kevin Smith, my name is George Efta. I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm hoping to get a career that involves you in some way or another form. And that's why I started the video series called Dear Kevin, where I say something, a nice verbal, visual letter to you, sir. For this episode, Catch and Release, it's very, very simple. I think you're a fantastic actor, and I think you should do it more often. I like your cameo bits in other movies, which I'll talk about in other episodes. In particular, I think you're the best part of Catch and Release. You know, this is a pretty big budgeted movie, you know, I think it was shot in Toronto to save money, but still, big stars, you know, the first-time director going out, starting their career. You know, you're one of the big leads, you're on the poster, you have a big emotional heart, you have a real through line through the movie. I think people care more about your story than the main story, and you hit it out of the park in every scene of the movie. Whether you're playing, you know, just comedic relief, or you have to be kind of the emotional rock in a few scenes, or your big stand-up sequence where you cry in the hospital and talk about your best friend. It's beautiful stuff, and you're a great actor, and you've done other good work as well. So for this Dear Kevin, I'm just saying, Dear Kevin Smith, please act more, and maybe in some of my movies as well, which I'll talk about in my other screenplays. In particular, I really hope that Hollyweed, your TV show, that your pilot that you've shot, I really hope it gets picked up and put on Netflix or Hulu or a network somewhere, HBO. Don't really give a shit where it shows up. I really hope it gets picked up because I've heard you talk about how it's the closest thing to a Chasing Amy type story you've written in a long time. The fans of yours who are like, fuck this nonsense in Canada, I miss the emotional Kevin Smith. They're apparently going to love Hollyweed, which is something you've said. And that you play, you know, you're acting in it, you're the main character. I've seen some pictures that you've posted and you're not doing the backwards cap and the coat, like, you know, you're just playing a guy. And I'm looking forward to seeing you do that. I'm looking forward to seeing you play a real character and not just, you know, the silent, you know, the fucking clown shoes, as you like to say, or used to say back in the day. I think you're a great actor. I think that sequence of Chasing Amy where you deliver the monologue, I think it bothers you when people say that that scene's your favorite scene. Oh man, the Jay and Silent Bob scene's the best scene in that movie. Come on, man, it's not because we love Jan and Silent Bob, it's because that's the emotional, that's the big heart of the movie, man, where you get to say the message, where it's not, you know, it's not who you love, but how you love, guys. Come on, just... Anyway, you're a fantastic actor. I can't fucking believe I forgot to do a Dear Kevin for this video, which is why I had to sneak back in, turn the camera back on, and oops. Anyway, thank you, Kevin Smith, for acting in movies like you do. I hope you get more parts. I hope Hollyweed comes out soon, and you are great in Catch and Release, so thank you for that. Sincerely, George. Sorry guys, I totally fucked up and forgot what I was doing. Apparently in my rush to get these videos out on a day-to-day basis, I make mistakes from time to time. I am an exceptionally professional filmmaker. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow, like I said, to talk about Green Arrow. Thank you for watching. Some more.